While we're here on insane people saying insane stuff, could we play the clip of the president comparing the glitches yesterday to Apple?
Consider that just a couple of weeks ago, Apple rolled out a new mobile operating system.
Yeah.
And within days, they found a glitch, so they fixed it.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody suggesting Apple should stop selling iPhones or iPads.
Good gosh.
Or threatening to shut down the company if they didn't.
Stupid ass.
That's not how we do things in America.
Oh, my gosh.
We don't actively root for failure. We get to work. We make things happen. We make them better. We keep going.
First of all, nobody's rooting for failure. Secondly, Apple, again, kind of has a track record. I don't know. It's a $400 billion company that sort of works.
Has sort of already changed everything in what they do.
Pretty much. We have, now the U.S. government has a record of the DMV.
Post Office.
Postal Service. I mean, it's a pretty bad track record. Oh, public housing. Have you seen that? That beautiful, the beautiful splendor that is public housing. Come to New York and take a look at
you want to live
at the
there.
Great Society.
You're going to want to live
You're going to want to get a nice place in the Bronx. You're really going to this time of year?
Oh, yeah.
Just as the dead body chalk outlines start to get washed away off the sidewalks.
Oh, when you know what? Before don't even go there. When the blood matches the color of the foliage at this time of year.
Oh, it's nice.
It
is nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, look at the color in the trees and the way it splashes down onto the streets. And then somebody says that's blood, and you're like, yeah, but look how beautiful that is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
you get those real autumn colors when the garbage juice kind of leaks out from the bottom of all the garbage all over the place, and it kind of runs down with the water and it combines with the blood.
When you see the public housing, you know, those big, huge, Great Society public housing modeled after the Soviet Union, when you see the chain link fencing that they have put over all of the, all of the patios, if you can even call them, the outside hallways, really is what they
right.
are.
So that you can't throw people off of those.
Yeah, it is
hallways.
so great when you see that rust chain link fencing and the way it matches the autumn colors.
It's beautiful.
It's spectacular.
You must see it this time.
And nobody is saying, hey, okay, so we had 40 years of failure, but we don't root for failure.
To compare Apple to the rollout of Obamacare is just, I mean, it's unimaginable that he would even dare, but you know what he's doing? No shame.
But you know what he's doing? He's not only, let's put this into perspective. He's not just comparing Apple to the rollout of Obamacare. He is also comparing himself to Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he really is. Yes, he is.
He's Steve Jobs.
You were talking about whether or not Jobs would have delayed a flawed program. Well, you saw Jobs just like I did. Do you remember when he took control of the Mac program back in the early 80s? And it was way overdue and way over budget, and he didn't release it for a really long time because it was so flawed.
He took it all over and said, you guys are screwing this all up.
Yep.
I mean, go ahead, Mr. Jobs. Go ahead. We'll give you credit. Let me tell you something. Does anybody really believe that if he could come up with a system that could beat the American healthcare system that we had, is anybody, well, no, I take this back. There's probably about 10% of the Republicans, maybe 20, that would never give him credit. Just like if the roles were reversed, well, no, they are reversed. Just like there's probably 30% of Democrats that will never give the free market system credit for anything. So if this guy could actually do it, there would probably be 10 to 20% of the Republicans, but they'd be fools. They'd be fools. If he could actually come up with a system that beat the healthcare system, but he would have to come up with, he'd have to be such a genius. Let's put this into perspective, that he is smarter than, and our team, that we don't even know who they are smarter than every communist country and every socialist country. He is somehow or another smarter than everyone who has ever run anything in Canada, anything in the Netherlands, anything in England, anything in Venezuela, Cuba, China, Russia, any of them. North Korea, South Korea, anybody. He somehow or another is so good, and he has assembled a team that is so smart, and yet they can't even explain it to the American people. They can't even make the first step of sign up. Good. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, and I tend to root against things that are bad for the country and tend to root for things that are good for the country. But I got news for you. My rooting interest in this has nothing to do with the failure of your product. Whether I root for it or I root against it has nothing to do with your poor design of this program you've had 4 years to get prepared for.
It was the architect of this disaster that called it a train wreck. And so we're just going off your information.
Your own people. Can you imagine Steve Jobs?
People.
Steve Jobs, if he was so clueless that he took an iPad or an iPod and he said, release it. And everybody on the architect of it had come out and said, this thing is a train wreck. This thing is going to destroy.
It's going to bankrupt the company.
It's going to bankrupt the company. That's what they're saying.
Yes.
It's going to bankrupt the company. The people who designed it are saying that. You know, as a shareholder, I would root against Steve Jobs. In fact, if Steve Jobs did that, and I found out that the guy who was designing it and the members of the team that designed it said it's a train wreck and it's going to destroy it, and they released it anyway, I'd give it just a few days and I would sell my stock. But in this scenario, we can't sell our stock. We're trapped. You see, Mr. President, what you have failed to realize is you're not destroying Apple. You're destroying lives because we can't opt out. You made that very clear. We're illegal if we don't have it at birth now. So we can't sell our shares. Although many people are.